My favorite coffee house.
And we get the outside table.
Beautiful day.
Yes, it is.
Steve, I want to ask your opinion about something in homeopathy. Are you up for it? It means I'll be explaining more about why I do what I do, and I want your opinion about a different method that's come up in my field. Might be boring for you though.
Sure, Vera, go ahead, give me your worst. We've been through a lot together anyway.
Okay, so you know that homeopathy works based on the law of similars? Like cures like.
Yeah, I just never really understood what that meant, how you use it.
Well, for various reasons, the founder of homeopathy Samuel Hammond decided to take substances, starting with quinine, and see how sick they made him.
Real masochist, wasn't he?
Probably. Moving along, he saw that quinine gave him all kinds of symptoms, as if he was ill. He stopped taking it, and wrote down all the symptoms he found. A lot of the symptoms were similar to symptoms of malaria.
Okay, still with you so far.
Then he tried giving the quinine to people who had malaria-style symptoms, fever that comes and goes, etc., and he found that quinine helped them get better. He tried this over and over again with other substances, and found that something that causes symptoms in a healthy person can cure similar symptoms in a sick person.
Okay, I understand. And the tiny pills? The dilutions you do?
Hanuman developed all that because often a substance that can make you sick is poisonous to you. He found that if the substances were highly diluted and potentized, they were no longer poisonous. But it's good you asked the question.
Why is that? Although you know I only ask good questions.
Because sometimes when the substance is highly diluted and shaken up, which is what we can potentize, it can cause symptoms in healthy people which we never thought of before. One example is table salt. When you have it in your meals, it won't make you sick as a rule, but if you give it potentized to a healthy person as part of what we call approving, it will produce symptoms.
How do you know? Isn't all this a bit theoretical?
Absolutely not. That's the beauty of it. Hammond did provings for around 100 remedies in his time, and wrote exactly how to do provings for the best results. So we know what these remedies can do to healthy people. We have lists of symptoms.
Is that why you ask all these embarrassing questions? So that you'll be able to match the symptoms of the sick person to the symptom picture from the proving?
It's why I don't treat you. Yes, some questions one can't ask old friends. Definitely too embarrassing. But yes, you've got it exactly. Obviously this is sketched out as an explanation. There are all kinds of questions, but the basic simplicity of homeopathy is that we're looking for matching symptom pictures between the sickness and the proving.
So what's this other method about?
It's called the sensation method, and it's taught in more or less every homeopathy school today. It's also required by most regulatory bodies in many countries, including the US.
Did you study it?
I had to, at least to the degree it had been developed at the time, which was a while ago. I wouldn't have qualified without it. There's also another method which I had to study, which involved learning where a remedy appeared on the periodic table of elements, and prescribing based on that.
Well, even from what I understand so far, the use of the periodic table to decide prescription doesn't seem to make sense, according to your explanation of how homeopathy was developed. Unless it takes into account the symptoms from provings, does it?
No, it doesn't, unless a practitioner of that method actually goes into the provings before prescribing, something that isn't required according to that method. It's based on an elaborate physical and mental template that is applied to the periodic table, where the left side relates to the beginning of life, the right side to the end, and the emotional states of the human being evolved through life, reaching a peak in the middle. It also relates to the different rows as different stages in life.
Well, that doesn't sound to me like the method your founder developed. Are there provings?
No, the person who developed that method said they won't need it anymore.
I don't understand. How can you say it's homeopathy and works according to like yours like when there are no provings?
Let me tell you about the other method. In this one, the homeopath will ask you all kinds of questions about the sensations you feel, and about your emotional state. He'll watch your hand gestures and expressions carefully, and match your words describing the sensation, hand gestures and expressions, and based on that, he'll prescribe a remedy with similar sensations.
How will he know what remedy has similar sensations? Do these people do provings like Hanuman said to do?
No.
Your original guy, Hanuman, what was he, a psychologist? What we'd call today New Age?
Absolutely not. I think he'd be turning in his grave if anyone called him that. He was a medical doctor who was drawn to experimenting with different methods to find better ways to cure people. He did work with mental symptoms, which also show up in provings, but physical symptoms were crucial, especially what made people feel better, what made them feel worse, and what has changed since they got sick.
And the homeopaths today, are they trained psychologists? Sounds like that's what they are doing.
No.
And you said you need to learn how to do these methods in order to practice homeopathy, but you also said that if you don't work with provings, you can't match symptom pictures in order to get results.
Yep.
You know, Vera, you're my friend and I love you dearly. Have you ever thought of taking up a new profession? Law, accounting perhaps? You could do it, and it sounds like homeopathy is finished, the real thing anyway, and this stuff really doesn't sound like it's your kind of thing. I'm worried that if you don't look for something else, you might find yourself taking up basket weaving.
I knew you'd get it. Practically every person I speak to gets it immediately, except for homeopaths. Why is that, do you think?
I'm not sure I could give an opinion. You're the only homeopath I know, really. But I have seen how much work you've put in over the years, how much money you've spent on training, books, seminars. Maybe it's difficult for someone who has invested so much to climb down and say they were wrong, so maybe they just block out any evidence to the contrary. That's certainly true in other fields.
Depressing. I'm glad I found people to talk to at OpenRep U who are willing to see the evidence.
Sorry, but I still think it's just people to hang out with on deck while your Titanic goes down. I can hear Celine Dion singing in the background.
Oh, shut up.